So tell us about the Aggie Pro Day. Tell us what stood out to you and how the whole operation flowed.
Well, first thing, I mean, and I don't know if y'all have had a chance to talk about it yet, but we had 2 more 30 visits confirmed by talking to guys out there. So DeMarvin Leal, the defensive lineman, who's honestly, some of the shine fell off of him. I think he was the guy who was supposed to be, a top 15 type of player. That's what they were kind of hoping for him to do this season, take his game up another level. And that didn't really happen. So now I think you're probably looking at more like a second round type player for Leal, but a guy who, depending on your system, I guess could play end or tackle. I really think he'd be a tackle here, but just talking to some folks, it sounded like Dallas thought no, DeMarvin Leal could give us some flexibility. And could kind of play either or for us. And so that's a guy that's going to have a 30 visit with them. And another one who I know everybody was all surprised when Kenyon Green from the guard tackle there didn't get a formal interview with the Cowboys at the Combine. But he does have a 30 visit scheduled. And they were, Joe Philbin was standing right over him during his drills today and had a close eye on that. And so I think that he's somebody that they're, a lot of the chatter that you hear come from the Cowboys is that's what they like about both those guys, Leal and Green, is like the flexibility. We can have them do multiple things, and we don't have to necessarily be pigeonholed to one thing with this guy.
Bobby, did you feel like there were some questions that he didn't test particularly well at the Combine? Did you feel like that he moved around better from what you were able to see with the drills and
Green
stuff?
Or Leal?
Green, I'm sorry, Green.
Yeah, and I think that, everybody there that you kind of talked with, because, I mean, you talk to a lot of people, not just the Cowboys, when you're just kind of standing around there and you're chit-chatting, watching people. I think everybody seemed pretty happy with the way Green was moving. I mean, his 40 was still 5.25, which is about what it was when he ran in Indy, but, I think everybody felt like he moves well. He's not like a stiff mover. There's some fluidity there, I think they felt like. And so I thought he looked good in the drills, and there seemed to be some positive feedback from him. And everybody there that you talked to at A&M was just talking about, like, this is the ultimate, like, whatever you need, I'll do it guy. Like, I mean, it's not just, well, he played all 5 spots at college. So, I mean, guys do that and aren't necessarily always thrilled about it. But they said that, no, that's the guy who it's, what do you need me to do? I'm going to go do it. You need me to go play tight end? I'll go play tight end even for you. And so just a lot of great feedback from the people there at A&M about just what a great culture guy Kenyon Green can be at the next level, and just, the flexibility that he has to play inside or outside is probably appealing to a team like Dallas, who needs a left guard, but in the future may need a left tackle.
All right, let me ask you this then. Were there several offensive line coaches there working him out, or did you appear like there maybe, I know you talked about Philbin, but did you notice, was there a bunch of line coaches standing around? Because sometimes that'll tell you a little bit about maybe what people think about him.
There were a few line coaches there. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head who was there. I think Arizona had somebody there.
Okay.
But I mean, Philbin was literally arms crossed, like standing over him watching. And so,
but it wasn't like there were 10 or 15 coaches, line coaches standing there watching him work out.
No. Okay. There was one head coach there. It was Lovie Smith was the only one.
Yeah. Simple drive for him.
I think the Cowboys actually had they were tied with, I think, the Cardinals. They had the most representatives there in attendance today. They had 4 people with the team there. And so they had Joe Philbin, Aiden Durday, and then they had Chris Hall and one of their scouting interns. So, they had a lot of representation, and I know that they think highly of a lot of these guys. And it makes sense to go to a pro day like A&M's, where it's like there's legit players like across the spectrum, because you've got, first round players at A&M, second, third, like all throughout the draft, you've got guys there who could be picked in each round. And so I think it makes sense that if you're looking to kind of look across the landscape, that you'd go check out a school like A&M.
When you look at Green and where he fits, where do you think he fits based on the Cowboys' needs and how they, let's theoretically try to put their board together with some of the guys that we've talked about with Linderbaum, Traylon Burks, Green? Where does he fit kind of in that hierarchy based on what they need and what they may go after at that 24?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of what they're interested in, they definitely, I think he'd be in consideration for them there at 24. And I think that's probably right around his sweet spot. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Green went a little before 24. But that's a guy who, like we talked about, can do everything across the line. Is a guy who not just can do everything across the line, does it well. He is a legitimate, has legitimate flexibility to do things well. He played left guard for the most part this year, but that's a guy who like stonewalled the best defensive player in college football this year, Will Anderson from Alabama, just locked him down when he was asked to play left tackle against Bama. And so I think that he's somebody that I would guess that if Dallas picked Kenyon Green at 24, my guess is he is your left guard now and he is your left tackle in 2023. Is how I think they would view that. And there are some guys who, flexibility is not always what you want. Tyron Smith is a guy who that's always a left tackle. I mean, I know he played right earlier in his career, but like that's a left tackle. Like you would never ask him to play guard. You would never ask him to do those sorts of things. Zach Martin is pretty comfortable just being a guard. Connor Williams is pretty comfortable being a guard. I think Kenyon Green is genuinely not just lip service. I think he's what do you need me to do? I'll do it. And I think that's intriguing to a team that genuinely feels like they need to get better across the board on the line. They need to get better at center. They need to get better at guard. They need to have a plan in place for the future at tackle. And so Kenyon Green could definitely make a lot of sense to them. I know that was one of the really intriguing things to them about Penei Sewell from Oregon when he was coming out, was they felt like we can get him to play anywhere. And so we can kind of, shape things as we need to around this guy. And so Green is definitely somebody I think will be in play for them at 24, along with, like you mentioned, I think a guy like Linderbaum, who I know there's questions about his size. I don't think Dallas cares so much about that because I think they feel like you're bracketed by these big, strong guards. The play strength is going to be big an issue to us. So Linderbaum, Traylon Burks, another 30 visit guy for them. I think those are some names to know early on here.
I'll tell you what, with that thing with Linderbaum, I've never seen a player with more physical deficiencies play as great as he does.
Yeah.
I mean, short arms, light, short, and he's clearly the best center in the draft.
No, I had somebody, I had a scout tell me that Linderbaum
He's from Iowa, by the way.
Yes, that Tyler Linderbaum is the cleanest technician at any position in the entire draft. Like they think he plays his position better than anybody plays their position in the entire draft. There's just, there are some physical limitations there. He is a smaller guy. He's, in the low 290s for weight. He's shorter. He's got his short arms. But he is so refined and he knows how to play center. And I think that even though I don't think they were disappointed in Tyler Biadasz, and I think he played better as the year went along, I think they definitely feel like if that's a guy that's there, we'll definitely have a conversation about that because that's somebody we really feel like we can build around.
Do you think they're going to rebuild the offensive line through the draft then over the next couple of years?
Yeah. No, I
think 3 spots.
I think they feel like Steele is the right tackle for the future. It's like I told KG last week. Like they don't feel like they're making a change at right tackle. Like they feel like we've got our starting right tackle and we moved on from a very expensive backup in Lyle Collins. So I think they feel like the right side of their line's pretty solid. I think they feel like Zach Martin's got a few more years left. But yeah, I think they're content with Tyler Biadasz at center. I think they have, I think they feel like that could be better though. And we're not, closed off to the idea of making a change there if it makes sense for us. Left guard's obviously a complete question mark. And I think there were a lot of people with the Cowboys who were genuinely concerned at the way Tyron Smith played at the end of the year.
Sure.
I think that was not just wow, that was a bad stretch for him. That was
a window to maybe the future.
Yeah, like, oh gosh, like is this the beginning of an aggressive decline potentially? I think they were very worried about how he played at the end of the year, specifically against, San Francisco. You were getting dog walked by Charles Omenihu, who the Texans were like, no thanks, we'll just trade you. I mean, that's not a dominant player there on the end. And so, I think they feel like, yeah, we've got to start rebuilding here, and they clearly don't want to do it through free agency. So I think they're going to look at, all right, let's start reshaping the offensive line through the draft. And that's why, like I say, a guy like Green would be of such interest to them because it's like, well, we can just kind of figure out where we want to slide him in and then build around that with other pieces that make sense.